Good morning, students and parents, and welcome to the CCP Informational and Counseling presentation for the 21-22 school year. I hope everybody's doing well, even in spite of all the COVID and all the remote learning. I hope we are all having success and being safe and healthy. So let's get to it. This informational and counseling presentation is mandatory for students and parents to attend and, well, in this case, to watch. And for the state of Ohio, any student that is interested in doing CCP must attend this meeting or view this presentation, I should say, to participate in College Credit Plus. CCP is what we call it. So my name is Mr. Kernan, and I'm one of the school counselors here at the high school. Mr. Nicholson is the other school counselor. And let's get to it. We need to talk about a lot of things. First of all, what is CCP? CCP is College Credit Plus. And when I first started in guidance, they used to call it post-secondary options. So you as parents, maybe some of you did post-secondary options in high school. And we call it College Credit Plus now. The state changed that in 2015 and 16. When it changed to CCP, they expanded the role to include students going into 7th grade all the way through 12th grade. Used to be post-secondary options were only allowed in 9 through 12. Students in 7 through 12 can do College Credit Plus. And the purpose of College Credit Plus is to provide students with more opportunities to enhance their curriculum and challenge themselves. So in other words, if a student wanted to take a college class that in a course that is not offered here at the high school, for example, let's say they wanted to take a foreign language that we don't offer, that is maybe that's a way that student could take that class through College Credit Plus. So CCP, in a nutshell, in one sentence, if I could describe it, is a way to provide a student to earn college credits while they're in high school. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you need to know. Very important that you pay attention. And as we go through this, after you watch the presentation, feel free to contact me at any time to ask questions. You can email me, you can call me, but let's get started on the nuts and bolts. CCP is not for everyone. I need to emphasize that. Even though I am sending this presentation out to current 6th graders through 11th graders, you need to know that CCP is not for everyone. I am required by the State Department of Education to inform all the students going into 7th through 12 next year about CCP and their opportunities there. But that doesn't mean everyone is qualified and ready to participate in CCP. There's an application process that takes place, and acceptance into CCP is entirely up to the university based on the student's academic records, ACT scores, and university placement scores. So it's entirely up to the university whether students get accepted into CCP. Basically, the guidance department, myself, Mr. Nicholson, we are simply facilitators of the process of applying to CCP. Okay? There's many important steps that the student is going to have to follow through with to get accepted, but let's keep rolling through this presentation before we get to that. You may ask yourself, how are CCP classes taken by students? There's several different ways. Basically, there's 3 ways. A student can take a college class at the campus of the university with a college professor, the old traditional style. That would mean the student would have to drive to, let's say, Kent Trumbull, take the class, and then drive back to Newton Falls, depending on what time of the day that the course is offered. Another way a student can take a CCP class is through the university, but taking it online through a college professor. So especially during this pandemic, many colleges are teaching remotely online, just like we are doing currently. So students can take online classes through the college that they apply to. I might add at this point, online college classes are generally, from my experience and from what I hear from other students, harder than in-person classes, traditional in-person classes. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot of independent work when you take college classes online, so students have to be ready for the challenge. A third way a student can take a CCP class is through one of our teachers on our campus. Currently, we have 2 teachers that are certified to teach CCP classes, and that would include Miss Marsh, who teaches College Writing 1 and College Writing 2, and Miss McDougall, who teaches a couple math classes on our campus. Both of them are certified through Kent State, and today's presentation, we're mainly going to be focusing on Kent Trumbull. We've had a good relationship with Kent Trumbull throughout the years, and we work well together with our students doing CCP. That is not the only place students can take CCP classes, but I would tell you you're better off sticking with Kent Trumbull for many reasons, and this presentation will focus on Kent Trumbull and CCP. If you would like to take classes somewhere else other than Kent Trumbull, I would suggest you see myself or Mr. Nicholson, whoever your guidance counselor is, and we can talk individually about that. So let's talk about pros and cons as far as taking CCP classes. First of all, the pros. Okay, what are the advantages of doing CCP? We've already talked about it's possible to expand your high school curriculum by taking courses we may not offer here at Newton Falls. Secondly, the obvious reason is you get to earn college credits while you're in high school, okay? Not only can you get college credit for these classes, you'll be getting high school credit as well. Everything you take will go on both your college transcripts and your high school transcripts. That's very important to know. This, in turn, will allow you to reduce your amount of time when you graduate from high school and go on to college. Hopefully this will reduce the amount of time and amount of cost that it takes for you to get your college degree. The last pro or advantage I would say would be this is a way to get a head start and get a feel for what college life is all about, and you'll be able to have different access to different campus resources. Just for one example, you get accepted to Kent State Trumbull CCP, you get to use their fitness center. You get to use their tutoring services, things like that. So you just get a little head start on things and get a few credits under your belt before you go on to college. Okay, so that's the pros, the advantages. Let's talk about the cons or disadvantages. There is a risk when you take a CCP class. That is a college class. And yes, it will go on your college transcripts. And yes, it will go on your high school transcripts. There's a chance that you may run into a college professor or a course in general that is a difficult, challenging course. Or maybe the college professor or the teacher is just tough and the class is tough. And maybe you're a 4.0 student going into this, looking at being valedictorian. If you get a grade that's lower than an A, and that, let's say you get a C or even a B, that reduces your chances directly to be valedictorian. And even there's a risk of you failing the class, which then, if you're taking this class to as part of your high school curriculum for graduation, then you run the risk of not graduating. And yes, we've had that happen. Very smart kids have taken CCP and for one reason or another, not passed the class and not got their diploma with the rest of their students, or with the rest of their class. So you run the risk of running into a challenging class, a challenging professor, and not doing well. These are college classes. They'll be taught like college classes. There's no spoon feeding involved. There's no checking up on you, okay? You are considered a college student. You should have the ability and the independent work ethic to do well in these classes if you're going to do them. Okay, if you are participating in CCP, sometimes you're going to reduce your opportunities for a high school extracurricular activities. For example, if you take a college class that is offered in the afternoon, let's say 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m., and you are planning on taking that class on campus at Kent Trumbull, well, you're expected to be there, and you want to participate in some sport here at Newton Falls. Well, you're going to have to miss that sport, whether it be a practice, whether it be a game, to attend that class. So I know that now, especially during the pandemic, everything pretty much is remote and online, but if things turn around and students start taking classes on campus, then you have to think about, what time is this class offered? Is it going to conflict with classes that I have at Newton Falls? Is it going to conflict with my extracurricular activities such as band, choir, or any sports? Again, most of this stuff is online, but if you happen to take a college class on campus at Kent, then you're going to be in a college environment. You're going to be with other adults. You are considered a college student. Nobody's going to give you extra help just because you're a high school student. You're going to be in an adult environment taking college classes. Okay, we've already talked about the high school and college schedule. It's like a puzzle. We're going to put a schedule together here at Newton Falls. You may want to take a class at Kent Trumbull at a certain time of the day, and it conflicts with a class that you're taking here at Newton Falls. We have to figure out a way that works best to try to get you that class at Kent Trumbull and get you classes here at Newton Falls. It's like a puzzle we have to put together. So we work hand in hand and try to do the best we can, but sometimes it doesn't work out. If you take a class at Kent on their campus, which who knows how that's going to look with the pandemic next year, it's your responsibility to have reliable transportation to get to campus and back. If you don't have a car that is reliable and it breaks down and you miss a week of classes, they don't care. You're responsible for the work. You're responsible to be there. Again, we haven't had too many kids driving to Kent for classes the last several years because of the access of remote learning and online classes. And the fact that a lot of our kids take classes here at Newton Falls with Miss Marsh and Miss McDougal. And I'm pointing out to you, if you do take a class on campus, we don't provide transportation. You have to get there and you have to be responsible for that. Remote classes. You need to have the technology needed. For example, a good computer that's reliable to do your work, okay? Submitting things online is up to you. So make sure you have good technology. Excuse me, my allergies are acting up. Again, I think I've said this a couple times, but as a CCP student, you are a college student. We, as your guidance counselors, will not have access to your grades, nor will your parents, due to HIPAA laws. So if you don't attend class or you don't do your work and you're not getting good grades, that's on you, okay? the university will not contact us and say, hey, Susie didn't attend class yesterday, and we're letting you know. That's not going to happen. It's, how should I say, you need to be mature, responsible, reliable to participate in CCP. If you don't go to class, if you don't do the work, you're going to fail. We're not going to know about it. We've had situations in the past where parents get upset and say, hey, how come you didn't tell me my kid was not going to class at Kent? And how come you didn't tell me that they were failing? They don't tell us. It's your responsibility. You're an adult. You are a high school student in an adult environment. It's up to you to get it done. If you choose to participate in CCP and you get accepted, you better get it done. There are the last con or disadvantage I'm going to tell you about. There are financial responsibilities for failing a CCP course and or dropping the CCP course after the approved deadline. We have had a couple situations this year where students got into a college course and found out after the deadline that they weren't going to do real well, and they wanted to maintain their valedictorian status, and they dropped the course after the approved deadline. They have to pay for that course. The student and the family have to pay for that course, or they won't graduate from high school. So it's very important that you understand when you take a college credit plus class, those grades are going on your transcripts. If you don't pass it, the F is going on your transcripts. If you drop it or fail it, then you're going to have to pay for it. Okay? So let's move on. That was the negative stuff about it. Okay? And if I emphasize that too much, I'm just trying to let you know what's in store for you. Okay, so now you got all these pros, you got these cons, and now what do? You make a decision, right? A decision whether or not to participate. What do? You weigh your pros and cons. You figure out, okay, as a student, am I ready for this? Am I mature? Am I an independent learner? Am I ready for the challenge? Am I qualified? Am I smart enough to do this? Is my work ethic good enough? Are you ready for college? Okay. Now, if you get accepted into the program, let's say this coming spring of 2021, can't wait for 2021 because I've had enough of 2020. You get accepted, you can always back out of it if you change your mind before the semester starts in the fall. Okay. So if you think you're interested and you think you're up for the challenge, go ahead and let's apply. And if you want to back out of it come early fall, then we can do that. But it should be before the semester starts. Okay? So one of the things that students will ask, and sometimes parents will ask, well, if I take classes at Kent Trumbull, will those credits transfer to, let's say, Akron or Ohio State or Bowling Green? There is a website here that I'd like to just click on. It's a transfer of credit type website through the state of Ohio, and I'll bring that up here, that you can put in the college class that you're taking at Kent Trumbull, and if we clicked on here, you can go through here and fill out this information about what class you took, what was the subject area, what was your course ID, and when did you take the class, and where are you transferring it to? For example, if you know you want to go to Ohio State and you took Kent State College Writing 1 and 2, and you want to see if that class will transfer to Ohio State, this is where you would go. Okay, so that's something I just wanted to point out to you. There's a link there that you can look that up. Okay, there are two options for CCP. One is option A, which I've never had anybody do, but I feel the need to tell you about it. Option A is where the family pays for the college class and they only get college credit for the class. You may ask, well, why would I want to pay for something that I could get for free? The only reason I can think of is if you are a valedictorian status, let's say you got 4.0, and you'd like to take a college class, but you don't want to risk losing your valedictorian status. So your family has agreed to pay for the class. That credit will only go on your college transcripts, not your high school transcripts. That way you wouldn't mess up your high school GPA if you got A, B, or worse. I've never had anybody do that. Most students and families that do College Credit Plus are doing it to get the free college credits and not have to pay for the tuition. So option B is what you're more than likely going to choose when you fill out the paperwork. Okay, that's where Newton Falls actually pays for the college tuition, and you get high school credit and college credit for the class. There's no cost to the student for the tuition of the class and the books. It's all free. Okay, let's talk a little bit about CCP and high school athletic eligibility. First of all, let's just talk about high school eligibility for a second since I've got your attention. Any student that wishes to play a high school sport, grades 9 through 12, you must be enrolled in and earn passing grades in a minimum of 5 one-credit courses or the equivalent each and every grading period to have a continuing eligibility. Okay? So for example, if you wanted to play basketball, the first marking period, you better have taken at least 5 credits of eligibility credits of first marking period to be eligible for second marking period. Okay, and it goes on and on for each spring sport. You know, you got to pass the classes in second marking period and so on. Now, for our school, for example, if you take a half credit class, any half credit class is an equivalent to a athletic eligibility full credit. The only class we offer that is not an eligibility credit is phys ed because it's 0.25 credits. Okay, so anyways, back to CCP. When it comes to CCP, any 3-semester, 4-semester, 5-semester credit hour class that you take through college counts as 2 high school credits. Okay, so for example, if you took chemistry, you took algebra 2, you took Spanish 3, and you took college writing 1. Okay, that's 3 high school credits. And then you took a CCP college writing 1, that's worth 2 credits. So there's your 5. Okay, so that's how that works. Anything that you take in college that is a 2-semester credit hour class or 1 semester, it's going to be reduced. For example, a 2-semester credit class at college is worth 1.34 high school credits. All right, so that's athletic eligibility and CCP and how it works. So let's get to the nuts and bolts about, all right, you know, here I am, I'm a student, I'm a parent, I'm talking to my kid, I'm talking to my parent, whatever, and I say, let's do this. I want to do CCP. The next steps here are the steps to apply and get accepted into CCP. This is the nuts and bolts. Okay, first thing you got to do is attend a high school informational and counseling meeting. That's what we're doing right now. All right, so we're checking this one off. So both the parent and the student should be watching this. If you do it at different times, that's fine. Ideally, you're doing it at the same time. Okay? There's going to be a form I'm going to give you, or Mr. Nicholson will give you, depending on what part of the alphabet you are, that you'll sign off that says basically you've watched this presentation, you have no further questions. We will get you that form if you say you're intending to participate. Okay, the other thing that you need to do kind of right away is you need to have an ACT score on file. Okay, so right here is the link, act.org. Okay, if we click on that, that brings you to register for the ACT. And then if you don't have an account with the ACT, you create my ACT account and you're off and running. Okay, so again, you got the link there. You need to be taking the ACT because that's one of the prerequisites to get into CCP. They're going to look at your ACT score. I would recommend you take if you haven't done so already, taking an ACT, at least take the February 6th test date, and the registration deadline for that is January 8th. Okay? You do not need the writing portion of the ACT. That's not required for CCP. So when you take the ACT, what Kent is looking for is they're looking to make sure you meet remediation-free standards. And I've got a link here that we're going to look at right now. Okay. This is on Kent's website. You can see for the ACT math, they're looking for you to get a 22 in the math. They're looking for you to get an 18 in the English, and they're looking for a 22 in reading. Those are basically what we are saying is the readiness standards that you are ready to be successful in college. If you don't meet these standards of 22 in math, 18 in English, and 22 in reading, you're probably not going to get in, okay? So that's what they're looking for. And again, if you want to check that link, it's there. Okay, so far, what do we know? Attend this informational presentation. Take the ACT. Hopefully your results are remediation free. Then you want to complete an intent to participate and turn it into your guidance counselor by April 1st. There's a link there for that form. Don't worry about this 2021 date. The form will be good. This form needs to be filled out and signed by student and parent by April 1st. Please get it into me earlier. Get it into Mr. Nicholson earlier. Okay? Don't hesitate to get that form in to let us know that you are intending to participate. There's no binding commitment or anything like that if you fill it out, but it's just basically saying, hey, I'm interested, I intend to participate in CCP. That doesn't, just because you fill this form out, doesn't guarantee you get in though. What do you do next? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is you're going to get on this website here and apply for CCP. So if I click this link, this is Kent Trumbull's College Credit Plus website. Okay, so there's a lot of good information here. Okay, and if you look right here, online application, we can click on the online application. All right, there's some dates there. And you would scroll down, new CCP student, submit online application. If you are a returning CCP student, you can click on returning CCP student application. Okay? And just while we're here, this is a CCP permission form or authorization to attend form. We can click on that. That needs to be filled out as well. Okay, so let's go back. We're talking about applying. Okay, whoops. Let me get to the right one. Okay, here we go. So you're going to apply to Kent Trumbull CCP. At some point early on the application, you are going to click on Kent Trumbull campus. when you apply. So Kent State has a main campus. They have East Liverpool campus. They have a Salem campus, a Tuscarawas campus, a Geauga campus, Kent Trumbull campus. You want to be participating at the Kent Trumbull campus. So make sure you click on Kent Trumbull when applying. Okay, the next thing you are going to do is complete and submit the CCP authorization to attend form. I got a link there, a lot of links. Okay, authorization to attend form is right here. That will be filled out once you get accepted into the program, okay? So one of the things I want to go back to, which I'm going to put a link on there. Let me add one thing here. We'll add something. Complete. A lot going on here. Turn that off. Sorry for the delay. Complete permission form. I thought I had that one up there, but let's see if we can get a link to that. Complete the permission form. So let's go to here, Kent State application. Okay, and let's find that form. Let's find that form. CCP Permission Form, online application. Here's the CCP Permission Form. Let's do this link. Sorry for the delay. Appreciate your patience. Okay, so there's the CCP permission form. So anyways, once you turn in a letter of intent and you finish all these steps up here, we will submit a high school transcript to the university. Okay, so that will come out of the guidance office here at Newton Falls, and you will be in contact with Mr. Nicholson or myself, and we'll be keeping track of your application and if you're still applying, and finally we will send a transcript to them so they can look at your academic records. The deadlines for the application to be completed: if you would like to take summer classes, the deadline for application for you to have everything in and done is April 15th. If you want to take fall classes, the deadline's May 15th. Anything after that's no good. If you don't get your stuff in by then, it's no good. You won't get accepted. Okay, now let's talk about what we do after you've been accepted. The first thing I want to tell you is sometimes students will get accepted in the CCP, but they don't necessarily qualify to take certain courses that they want. For example, certain math courses that you may want to take require above standards on the ACT compared to the remediation free scores. So just because you meet remediation free scores that we showed you before doesn't necessarily mean you get to take any class you want. There's certain classes that have higher standards of scores. Okay, so this is very important. If you've been accepted or even apply, you're going to have to follow the instructions that you get in your mail through the post office from Kent and email. So students that are applying, and parents, you need to be aware of this. When students apply for CCP, they're going to get different forms of communication through the mail or through email that they've got to follow up on things. We are not going to be spoon feeding them. Because to be honest with you, this is between the student and the university. Again, we are just facilitators. We don't know what gets sent to the students through the mail. We don't get copies of this stuff. So if they get this in the mail, or if you get it as a parent and you just toss it to the side and don't do anything about it, you're not going to get accepted. You must be very attentive and follow through with everything that is sent to you, whether it's through email to the student or whether it's through snail mail through the post office. Okay? Part of the process is going to be scheduling and taking the ALEX test if they want to take math. So this is a placement test that the students will take online by themselves to see if they place in certain math classes. That's just one example that what they have to follow through with on their own. And they send specific instructions on how to do it. Again, we will not walk them through this and hold their hand. If they're going to take a college class, they have to be ready to be independent learners and do this application process on their own. I already mentioned this here on C. If you've been accepted into CCP, it doesn't mean you automatically meet the requirements to take specific classes. One of the other things that they have to follow through on is they must attend a Kent State CCP orientation class. Now, most of the time in previous years, that orientation class was done in person on campus. Since COVID hit, and again, access to remote, they've done that orientation online. But the student has to sign up for it. Again, there will be instructions sent. They have to pay attention and read the material and follow through with it. Any changes that a student needs to make in their schedule, whether it's here or at Kent, they should consult with Mr. Nicholson or myself. If they sign up for College Writing 1 and then they decide to change that and they want to take something else, then they should let us know. Always be in communication. So how many credits can a high school student take in College Credit Plus? A student in high school can take up to 30 semester hours of credits per year in College Credit Plus, and a total of 120 semester credits starting in 7th grade. And since I mentioned 7th grade, I'm going to tell you completely honest here, I highly, highly do not recommend junior high kids doing this. I don't even recommend freshmen and sophomore doing this for the most part. We have had some freshmen and sophomore do this. And to be honest with you, most of the time it ruins their opportunity to become valedictorian in high school. Now, if you're okay with that and you get accepted, you meet all the standards and all that, that's fine. But the last thing I want to happen is a really, really, really bright, smart individual in junior high and as a freshman get like a D or an F or a C on their high school transcripts because they took a class that they're in over their heads. Okay? Mainly, I recommend it for juniors and seniors if they are qualified and ready to do it. Okay, back to the presentation. So 30 semester hours per year, I don't recommend that many. 120 total, okay? The only limitations that, you're definitely not allowed to take classes in any type of with religious affiliation, okay? So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but students can take college classes that will substitute for high school required classes. For example, if you were scheduled to take Newton Falls Trig Calc next year for math, you can, if you qualify, you can take the Kent State Algebra for Calc in the fall and Kent State Trig in the spring, and that would equal the Kent or the Newton Falls Trig Calc class. And actually, you would be getting 6 semester hours of credit there, and you would be getting 2 high school credits for these 2 classes. And those would add up to like 4 credits of high school athletic eligibility credits. Okay, another example would be if you were scheduled to take, let's say you're going in to be a junior and you were scheduled to take advanced English with Miss Marsh, but you got accepted into CCP and you scheduled college writing 1 and 2. Well, that would take care of your high school English credit, okay? That would substitute for that. You wouldn't have to take advanced English 11 and college writing 1 and 2, okay? So that's how that works. When you get into CCP, you have access to university resources. We kind of mentioned some of those. One being you have an academic advisor assigned to you at Kent Trumbull. You have access to the university library, access to the computer labs on campus, access to the writing center if you need help with any writing assignments, access to any in-person tutoring that they have available. There's also e-tutoring, some online tutoring they have available. And there's a fitness center on campus that you are welcome to participate and be a part of. So this is, once you become accepted into being a college student, a CCP student, you have access to all these resources. Okay, a few other things and we're almost done. Here's some contact information for Mr. Nicholson and myself, including phone numbers. There's our emails. And the main person, if you have any questions, if we can't help you or you have a hard time getting a hold of us, Robert Ridgel is our academic advisor there at Kent State that's assigned in charge of the CCP. His email and phone number are here. Before you ever call him, give us a call. Most of the time we can find out the answers you have to whatever questions you may have. And the last thing I want to do is look at this checklist to kind of review some of the things we talked about, and so that you as students and parents, that's not it. That's the wrong thing. I will try to get that checklist on there, but basically in a nutshell, let me erase that because I don't think that's it. Let me look at it again. That's the authorization to attend. That is wrong. Okay, I'm going to get that out of there, delete that, and real quick, let me see if I can find okay, let's just review. We'll go back here. Again, steps to apply and get accepted. All right, watch the presentation. You already did that. Sign off on the form that I'll give you eventually saying that you've watched the presentation, you have no further questions. Make sure you have an ACT. You're going to want to take care of that right away. Make sure you meet the remediation-free standards. Complete intent to participate form. You can access that form right here. Apply for CCP online through this website. Complete the permission form. Complete the authorization to attend form. We will submit transcripts. Make sure all this is done by these days. Hello, everyone. I need to update you on some new CCP requirements that just came across my desk. I got an email this morning from the State Department of Education and a representative from Kent State. And so I'll just read you some of the email. The CCP eligibility requirements have been altered by House Bill 404. House Bill 404 was passed yesterday. Due to the changes in ACT, SAT, and AccuPlacer offerings, students can now qualify. This is the important part that you need to know. Students can now qualify for CCP based upon their high school GPA as indicated on their transcripts. High school students must have a 3.0 or higher unweighted cumulative GPA on their course record. Let me start that again. High school students must have a 3.0 or higher unweighted cumulative GPA. Their course record may be evaluated in core subject areas. If a student does not meet the 3.0 GPA requirements but has an ACT, SAT, or AccuPlacer scores that meet Ohio Department of Education remediation-free standards, the student will be considered for admission to CCP. This is valid for eligibility for the following terms: spring 21, summer 21, fall 21, and spring of 22. So, in a nutshell, in the previous recording, when I mentioned you must have remediation-free scores on ACT, well, that just changed. So here's the update. If you have a 3.0 cumulative GPA, you have an opportunity to get accepted in the CCP. But I will tell you, some of the certain classes that you are going to take, you are going to be held to higher standards than just your 3.0. So applying, if you have a 3.0 or better and you want to apply, feel free to do so. But all that other stuff that I talked about as far as being independent, mature, and reliable and committed to your studies, you are a college student and you're going to be held to those standards. So again, CCP is not for everyone, but the eligibility requirements have changed. That's all I got. Have a good Thanksgiving and holidays whenever I put this out. I'm not sure when I'm going to put it out, but keep up your studies and I'll see you when you get back. Thank you.